The video opens not with a simple montage, but with a sequence that establishes the unique atmosphere of the Joe Rogan experience. We see slow motion shots of the studio microphones, the iconic MMA posters on the wall, and Rogan leaning forward, intently listening. The audio is a collage of the most provocative and personal moments to come. You freeball. You have comedic instincts like when you said to Hillary, "You'd be in jail," says Rogan's voice, layered over a shot of him grinning. It cuts to Trump, gesturing emphatically, the most dangerous business. The most dangerous. Then, a quieter, almost philosophical tone from Trump. To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary today, any dictionary, is the word tariff. It's more beautiful than love. The intro music fades, placing us directly into the intimate, wide ranging conversation. Rogan, settling into his chair, begins with a disarmingly personal line of questioning. Let's go back to the very beginning of that experience, he says. What was day one actually like? You win, you get inaugurated. Holy shit, I'm the president. Trump, nodding, delves into a vivid memory. Yeah, that's what happened. So I'm driving down Pennsylvania Avenue. I just built that hotel, the old post office, and I'm passing it. You've never seen so many motorcycles, police, military. It was a major thing. He describes the surreal reversal of driving down the closed street, the palpable energy of the massive crowds that compelled him and Melania to get out of the limousine for a brief, iconic walk. But where it really got amazing, he continues, his voice dropping, was when we got to the White House. He paints a picture of the opulent, wider than expected hallways, the high ceilings, a world of luxury that even he, a New York builder, found awe-inspiring. The camera would cut here to a subtle, nostalgic shot of the Lincoln bedroom as he describes his immediate request to see it. I said to the guys, I want to see the Lincoln bedroom. I'd never seen it. I was standing with my wife and I said, do you believe this? This is the Lincoln bedroom. He describes the famously long bed for the tall president, the original Gettysburg Address under glass, and the small, heartbreaking picture of Lincoln's lost son, Tad. He was a very depressed guy, and she was a very depressed woman. And on top of that, they lost their son, Trump muses, connecting the historical weight to the personal tragedy. It was amazing. To me, it was much more beautiful than it actually is. It was a very, very surreal experience. Rogan, following the thread, asks what he expected governing to be like versus the reality. Trump's tone shifts from awe to gritty realism. The biggest thing was just that first moment. But then with time, that wears off. With time, it becomes the place where you stay. And I was doing a lot. I had two things I really focused on: governing the country and survival. Because from the moment I won, before I even got to office, nobody has ever been treated that way. So I had survival and run the nation, a combination most people don't have. The conversation then pivots to the life he left behind. Rogan, connecting Trump's celebrity past to his political present, asks about the end of asterisk, the Apprentice asterisk. They canceled it when you were running, right? Trump is quick to correct him, revealing the high stakes choice he made. No, they wanted me to stay. Mark Burnett is a great guy, and they wanted to extend my contract. Mark said, you're crazy, don't run. Nobody gives up prime time for running for president. He details how the top brass at NBC personally visited him to talk him out of it, a testament to the show's success. It was 14 seasons, 12 years. It was a hot show. And I said, I want to do this. This segues perfectly into Rogan's next point about the fickle nature of fame and media. He brings up the viral clip of Trump's 2015 appearance on asterisk The View asterisk. Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. They're talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience is cheering. Then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you. Trump agrees, a note of vindication in his voice. But it's there. There's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked, and the way they've done it so coordinated and systematically. The thing turned on you when they found out you were going to be president. It was very coordinated. He then points to what he sees as a sign of change. Some people are catching on to that now. There's a lot of people that were longtime Democrats like Elon and Bill Ackman. All these different, very intelligent people, and they support me now. Rogan, steering towards the mechanics of power, asks the practical question. You have 10,000 appointments to make. You'd never governed. How did you know who to appoint? Trump's answer is frank and self-deprecating. Well, I didn't. I had no experience. You have to understand, I was in Washington 17 times in my life and I never stayed over. I wasn't a Washington guy. I was a New York guy. And all of a sudden you're supposed to be appointing top people. He describes the dilemma of relying on recommendations, often from people he just campaigned against, and the inherent danger of picking outsiders who haven't been vetted by the political process. This leads him to his famous critique of the stiffs, the career politicians. The problem with established people is they're already indoctrinated into the system, and they're stiffs in many cases. Stiffs. They don't have nothing. Or they're smart at survival. He illustrates with a story of a longtime congressman who wouldn't help him with the controversial license years ago. I said, "You're a stiff." And I realized he was a survivor. He'd been there 28 years. So they never do anything controversial. They never take any chances. Rogan pounces on this admission. So, at one point, did you have a moment where you realize these are bad choices? Some of these people I shouldn't have had in here? Trump doesn't hesitate. Oh, yeah, I think so. The one question that you'll ask me that I always come up with the same answer. The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people I shouldn't have picked. I picked some great people, but you don't think about that. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. Neocons, yeah. Or bad people, or disloyal people. He names names, calling General John Kelly a bully, but a weak person, and relishing a story about John Bolton. A friend of mine, a very smart, rich guy from Las Vegas, Phil Ruffin, called me. I was picking Bolton, and he said, "Don't pick him, he's a bad guy. It always works out bad with that guy." I said, "Oh man, I wish you told me this 2 weeks ago. I already hired him." And he was right. He was a nut job. Every time I had to deal with the country, they saw this whack job standing behind me and they said, "Oh man, Trump's going to go to war with him." This reflection on his team allows Rogan to highlight Trump's unique public persona. One of the beautiful things about you, Rogan says, is that you freeball. You get out and you do these huge events and you're just talking. You're making fun of Biden, you're doing impressions. It's stand up, it's funny stuff. You have comedic instincts. That kind of stuff was unheard of as a politician. He contrasts it with the rehearsed, cautious speech of typical politicians. Trump connects this style directly to the peril of the job. You need at least the attitude of a comedian when you're doing this business. This is a very dangerous business. Rogan pushes further. For a job, being president is the most dangerous. Especially you, Trump replies, referencing the assassination attempt. There's been 2 assassination attempts, and they've brushed those out of the news like it was nothing. Imagine if there was an attempt on Biden. We would never hear the end of it. He then coldly assesses the risk statistically, comparing it to race car drivers and bull riders. With the president, if you look at the amount of assassination attempts, it's a very dangerous position. I never thought of that when I did it. The dialogue then takes a sharp turn into policy, with Rogan teasing out Trump's economic vision. You just floated the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs. Trump's response is emphatic and historical. Sure, why not? Because our country was the richest in the 1880s and 1890s. A president who was assassinated named McKinley, he was the tariff king. He said, "We will not allow the enemy to come in and take our jobs and take our factories and take our workers and take our families unless they pay a big price, and the big price is tariffs." He passionately argues that the shift to an income tax was a mistake driven by foreign pressure. Then he delivers the line that defines this segment. To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary today, and any dictionary, is the word tariff. It's more beautiful than love. It's more beautiful than anything. It's the most beautiful word. This country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs. He immediately provides a current example, a massive Chinese auto plant planned for Mexico. I said if that plant is there when I'm president, I will put 100% or 200% tariffs on every car. They'll be unsaleable in the United States. And they just announced they're not going to build the plant because they think I'm going to win. Think of it. I did a big favor for our country by doing that, and I'm not even there yet. From economics, they delve into energy and the environment, with Rogan playing devil's advocate. What about nuclear power? People think Chernobyl, Fukushima. Trump shares a personal connection. My uncle, Dr. John Trump, was a professor at MIT for 41 years, a great genius. He knew everything about nuclear. He said someday it's going to be the way to go, but the problem is so dangerous in terms of war. He then attacks the weaponization of environmental regulation. The environmental is the biggest tool for stopping growth. They use it as a way to stop you, and also as a way to generate money. He claims environmental consultants profit from dragging out processes and gives an example from his building days and a massive LNG plant in Louisiana stalled for 14 years over permit issues. I got them their permit instantly, and they built the plant. He also tells a striking story about driving through California farmland with congressmen, seeing barren land except for one green patch. They said, "We have no water." I said, "Do you have a drought?" "No, we don't have a drought." "Why don't you have water?" "Because the water isn't allowed to flow down." He describes millions of gallons being diverted to the ocean to protect a tiny little fish, framing it as catastrophic mismanagement. The mood lightens considerably as Rogan, the UFC commentator, brings the conversation to his world. Who's the greatest UFC fighter of all time? He asks, before launching into his own expert analysis of John Jones, Georges St. Pierre, and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Trump speaks with genuine warmth about UFC CEO Dana White. Dana White is the greatest guy. When I wasn't in vogue, I've had times when I wasn't exactly in vogue, Dana. He said the greatest stuff about me. He said, "You're going to try to get me to say bad stuff about Trump. I'm never doing it." He's a very unusual guy, a perfect guy to be at the helm. He also recalls the spectacle of boxer James Toney's ill-fated MMA fight against Randy Couture. He was talking big because he was much bigger. And then Randy Couture just took him down, mounted him, strangled him. It was over very quickly. He was lying sleeping on the mat. Rogan then bridges back to politics with Trump's new alliance. You teaming up with Robert Kennedy Jr. Make America healthy again. Trump confirms the partnership but sets boundaries. I love the fact that you guys teamed up. I want him a part of the administration. The only thing I want to be a little careful about with him is the environmental, because he doesn't like oil. I love oil and gas. I'm going to sort of keep him out of that. Focus on health. He shares a shocking statistic from RFK Jr. about young men's health and military eligibility, using it to pivot to a darker theme. We have a bigger problem, in my opinion, with the enemy from within. And it drives them crazy when I use the term, but we have people that are really bad people that I really think want to make this country unsuccessful. This naturally leads to the charged topic of the 2020 election. Rogan, aiming for fairness, notes the denial of election results is a pretty common thing. Hillary Clinton famously denied the Bush administration the dangling chads. He then asks Trump for his core evidence. Trump focuses on narrative interference. 51 intelligence agents come up that the laptop was from Russia. It turned out to be totally false. They say that made a 17-point difference. He connects this to the need for election security. We can't have corrupt elections and we can't have open borders. You need voter ID. He excoriates California Governor Gavin Newsom for a new bill he claims prohibits even asking for ID. What could be a charitable reason why anybody would want that? The only thing that makes sense is that they want to cheat. Rogan then asks about one of the great American mysteries, quoting Trump's own past comment, the JFK files. You said if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't want people to know it either. Trump explains his earlier reluctance. I opened them up partially. I was met with from good people. Mike Pompeo was one of them. They asked me not to. There are people that are still living. There could be some national security reason. But he promises if I win, I'm going to open them up. I'm going to open them up immediately, almost immediately upon entering office. It's a cleansing. Finally, Rogan guides the conversation to its most speculative point. People coming from space. Yes. And I know you're interested in that. Trump, to the surprise of some, engages. How much did they tell you? Rogan asks. A lot, Trump replies. Really? Yeah. He clarifies that it's not his primary interest but shares intriguing encounters. I have people that go to Area 51 or whatever it is. But I interviewed a few people. He describes interviewing jet pilots great, solid, beautiful people who reported seeing objects. They said, "Sir, there's something there." They saw things that were very strange, like a round ball, going 4 times faster than an F-22. Rogan jumps in with the credible, well-documented 2004 USS Nimitz incident involving Commander David Fravor. Trump concludes thoughtfully, I've talked to 3 or 4 guys. They're not conspiracy guys. They said, "Sir, there's something there." The interview winds down. Trump, noting the 3-hour conversation, says he has to go make a speech and jokes. If I'm a little off tonight, I'm going to blame you. I spoke to this guy for 3 hours. They share a final, respectful exchange. It's a great honor to be with you. Thank you, says Trump. Thank you, sir. It's been an honor, Rogan replies. The video ends on a shot of their handshake, the crowded studio, and the palpable sense of a consequential conversation that spanned from the deeply personal to the geopolitical, from the history of the Lincoln bedroom to the mysteries of the cosmos, all framed by the unique, freewheeling dynamic between the comedian mixed martial arts enthusiast and the former president.